To celebrate Super Mario Odyssey, we have a brand new t-shirt for sale. The link is on the screen right now, in the description and the upper right corner. Be sure to check it out and support the channel. The Koopalings, the cute little helpers of Bowser. And today, we're going to take a look at Larry Koopa. How did he change in terms of gameplay, design, use and story over the years? Well, let's find out. Now this all started with the creation of the Koopalings, and most were named after someone famous. For example, a certain singer. So what about Larry? Well, many sources initially claimed he was named after the American talk show host Larry King. But the former Nintendo of America employee Davy Brooks, who originally named the Koopalings, claimed instead that Larry was named after Larry Mullen Jr., the drummer for the rock band U2. However, Brooks contradicted this in 2015, stating that Larry was not named after anyone in particular, and that he just simply looked like a Larry. So his name is a bit random compared to the others. He was first seen in Super Mario Bros. 3, where he steals the magic wand from the King of Grassland and turns him into a dog. In the NES version at least. Now of course, Mario wants to stop him, and they ended up fighting with each other. This is where it becomes interesting, because this boss fight has a lot of problems. Larry jumps around and shoots magic blasts from his stolen wand, and he needs to be jumped on 3 times to be defeated. After this, he is forced to make a quick retreat. This fight is incredibly basic and easy, especially if you have a power-up like the Fire Flower. However, all the Koopalings have this problem. The battles are all the same except for some of them. For example, Ludwig can do stunning earthquake jumps in some versions. But still, the overall tactics are the same, and this is probably because of the hardware limitations of the console. Almost all the enemies are as basic as possible, and this game was also originally made for the NES near the end of the console's life cycle. So they tried to squeeze everything out of it power-wise and ended up with Super Mario Bros 3. It's a great game, but the tactics of the enemies are quite basic. One of the biggest problems with the fight is his movement and shell spin attack. The arena is not flat, so he can get stuck, and the height difference also makes it easier to dodge the spin attack. So, not the best choice. You can easily exploit this. Luckily enough, they all return in the game that came after this one, the legendary Super Mario World. Here, the Koopalings and Bowser are taking over Dinosaur Land, and yet again Mario has to fight them. And Larry also returns, and in battle he uses Iggy's attack pattern and defeating condition, which is a bit lame and lazy. However, they change some things here and there. He sits on top of a tilting platform on top of lava and is immune to all of Mario's attacks. However, unlike Iggy, Larry's platform has 3 lava bubbles that jump up and down, making it more difficult since you now have multiple enemies to deal with. He can also throw more than 1 fireball at a time, and I have to mention this. The way he does this gave me nightmares to say the least. Now Larry needs to be jumped on until he falls off his platform, which is a fun way of defeating him, since it's more difficult than just jumping on him 3 times. Here you have to plan a bit and make sure that the platform is in the right position. It makes you think about your surroundings for a bit. This is also Larry's first time being the last Koopaling to fight, which explains why he has such a high difficulty all of a sudden. Clearly, this version is way more advanced when it comes to the tactics. The fight is interesting now. Sure, a part of it is recycled, but still they added enough new challenges to make it fun. Besides that, it challenges the player, which is exactly what you want near the end of a game. I have to say, this is one of the best boss fights in this game. It's different, difficult, uses multiple mechanics, and finally uses Larry in a good way. However, after this, something weird happened. The Koopalings disappeared for a really long time. Now the reason why is actually really simple. The 3D games came along. For example, Super Mario 64, which was the next game in line. And apparently the Koopalings weren't needed for this. Actually, they have never been seen in any of the 3D Mario games except for Bowser Jr. But they ended up returning a whopping 19 years later. because Nintendo created the new Super Mario Bros series, which was meant to revive the classic 2D formula, which ended up becoming more like 2.5D. However, 2.5D is mostly a visual difference. The Koopalings made their 3D rendered debut in New Super Mario Bros Wii, and Larry is the boss of World 1, which is reminiscent of Super Mario Bros 3, so they really went back to the roots. In this appearance, Larry looks almost the same as before, but his 2 small fangs are now gone, and he has a blue star on his head similar to Morton. Yet again, Mario has to fight them because they kidnapped the princess, as always. The story of the Koopalings is nothing to write home about. However, this time around, you have to fight all of them twice, and the first fight is similar to the one seen in Super Mario Bros 3. Simple, easy, and boring. Not a very good fight, but at least the battlefield is flat now, and there aren't any height differences, making his shell spin attack more effective. Now Larry's second battle is in a room filled with platforms that shift up and down thanks to Kamek's magic. But Larry has the same tactics as in his last fight. Now, the second fight is supposed to be more difficult than the first. However, this isn't the case. The fact that the platforms go up and down makes it a lot easier. When he does his shell spin attack, he usually gets stuck between 2 of the platforms, just like in Super Mario Bros 3. As soon as that happens, you stay on the highest platform and you're fine. And as soon as he stops spinning, you jump on top of him. All of a sudden, he went from an incredibly difficult boss fight to one of the easiest in the entire game. Now after this, he was seen in 2 more new Super Mario Bros games. The second one on the 3DS and the U version on the Wii U. Let's start with the handheld game. He's the castle boss of World Mushroom, which is an unlockable one. His battle features 3 blue platforms in the middle of the room, 4 holes, 2 on the floor and 2 on the ceiling, and 2 stone pillars which go in and out of the 4 holes. Always 1 on top and 1 on the floor. Using his magic wand, Larry shoots sky blue fireballs which ricochet off the walls upon contact. Yet again, it's a really easy fight. It suffers from the same problems as the one seen in the previous game. The rising platforms don't increase the difficulty. The only way you can really mess it up is if you miss one of the pillars when they go up. And in the Wii U game, they tried to fix this, but by the looks of it, they didn't really succeed. Here, there are some water blasts that act as platforms. If you stand in one of them, you rise to the top of it, and there you can stand still. He still uses his magic blasts and spins around in his shell. But thanks to these water platforms, he goes up and down when he spins around the room. But if you're on top of one of the water pillars, you're fine. So, it's useless. It doesn't fix the problem really. As long as you pay attention, you will survive. And your window of opportunity is pretty big. Overall, Larry's boss fights were a bit disappointing. The one from Super Mario World was amazing, but after that, it only got worse. Now one thing to keep in mind though, is the fact that the new Super Mario Bros series wasn't that difficult because Nintendo wanted it to be fun for everyone. This also goes for games like Super Mario 3D World. They even mentioned this in a Nintendo Treehouse event and released an infographic about it. Shigeru Miyamoto said the following: "In the recent years, we made Super Mario 3D World, and even though that's a 3D game, it's a little more accessible to everybody. And so speaking of casual gamers, we have Super Mario Maker out, and we also have Super Mario Run. So when we thought of making a Mario for Switch, we wanted to make it something a little bit more on the core side, that people who like action games can really get into. These games were made for the casual gamer, which isn't a bad thing, but it's sad to see that they didn't try anything new with them. All the fights except for the one seen in Super Mario World are similar. They're all about magic blasts and some platforms that move up and down. Let's just hope that this changes in the future." Hey there, be sure to check out the new Super Mario Odyssey shirt on Teespring. The link to it is on the screen right now, in the description and the upper right corner. By getting one, you support the channel and get a cool shirt or hoodie. A win for both of us. Thanks for watching everybody, I hope you enjoyed. If you want to watch more videos, click the annotations on the screen right now. And be sure to click that subscribe button and the bell next to it, then you won't miss any videos.